Hey guys, this is Sounds Geek, and this is my review of God of War 3 for the PlayStation 3. The first two God of Wars were renowned for pushing the PlayStation 2 to its limits and totally redefining and innovating the beat 'em up genre to what it is today. Now, you'd probably expect that the third one would even innovate more since so much time was put into it. Unfortunately, this is not the case. Aside from obvious graphical updates, you might even say that this game is the exact same game as God of War 2. However, this game is actually even worse in the controls department. The controls are just as wonky as ever. The first God of War and God of War 2 felt really good for the time being, but as the generation has progressed and as other action games have come out since then, I have seen much, much, much better controls in this type of beat 'em up. And God of War 3 just feels dated, severely dated. The jumping controls are just abysmal. For example, to double jump in God of War 3, you have to press X twice before the jump, instead of all the modern day ways of doing it, of jumping and then mid jump you press again and then you double jump. However, in God of War 3, they decided it would be a brilliant idea to double jump at the exact same time as jumping. And since the majority of the jumps in the game require the double jump, it feels unnecessary to put two jumps in the double jump. It just feels very dated for the time, and it's just very wonky. This also applies to the camera. The camera angle is abysmal, just awful in comparison to some games like Darksiders and Bayonetta, and even Dante's Inferno. The camera seems to have a mind of its own. When it wants to participate, it willingly does. However, sometimes I end up looking at Kratos' face and accidentally walk off a cliff, or sometimes I'm fighting someone and don't see Kratos at all. For some reason, the camera has a mind of its own and decides whatever it wants me to see, I see. And controlling it with the right stick doesn't even help at all, because it doesn't work properly. I don't understand why in this modern day on this next generation console, how they weren't able to fix God of War's camera from God of War 1, God of War 2, and God of War Chains of Olympus. It's still the exact same camera that was in those two games. And you just end up repeating over and over and over with the terrible camera angle. Not only that, but the QuickTime events are just as prevalent as ever, and there's more than ever. I thought they were spammed the hell out of in God of War 1 and 2, but no, in God of War 3, it's even worse. I see QuickTime event, QuickTime event, QuickTime event. In fact, there's a whole mini game that's a Guitar Hero kind of ripoff. And it's just ridiculous how many times I have to do a prompt for circle, X, square, and triangle. Not only that, but the brilliant programmers decided in God of War 3, instead of putting it in the middle, so I already can't focus on all the beautiful, awesome animation that's going on. Now I have to focus on trying to find where the hell the button is. It can be on the right, it could be on the left, it could be on the top, it could be on the bottom, it could be on the left-hand corner, it could be on the right-hand corner. I can sometimes have to do a stick motion, then sometimes I have to do both stick motions, then I have to press R1 or R2 or R1 and L1, or have to press them simultaneously, or have to press them one after another, and it's just insane on how many different things there are to do with the QuickTime events. It's just insanity how much I have to focus on the screen on pressing buttons as prompts. It takes away from the presentation, which is easily the best part about the game. And although the presentation is great, it seems like they spent so much of the funding in the presentation they couldn't even handle the writing. The writing is trash in comparison to the first two games. The first two God of Wars are renowned for having an incredible story along with the innovative gameplay. But God of War 3 just fails on this part. The story is just Kratos whining about wanting to kill Zeus and then just killing everyone in his path and then trying to find Pandora. And it's just annoying. Everyone in the game has a monotone voice. Everyone in the game sounds like they don't care. They don't care about dying. Oh, Kratos, come get me. And it's just abysmal. In comparison to the other two games, this is just trash in comparison in story. It's almost comparable to Dante's Inferno's quality. This makes Gears of War's writing look like a masterpiece. It just surprises me how far the innovator in this genre has fallen. I mean, overall, it's another God of War game. If you enjoyed the first three God of Wars, you will love God of War 3, just for the example of its closure. But in comparison to the other games, the quality just isn't there. And the worst part of it all, this game is only 5 hours long. So if you buy God of War Collection for $40, you get 3 times the amount of gameplay. Not only that, but you get more trophies and better story and better gameplay. So overall, this sequel is vastly inferior except for graphics, which is very disappointing. Overall, this game just isn't worth $60 and is just generic in comparison to its predecessors and other competition out there. That's why I have to give God of War 3 6 disappointed fans out of 10.